There's a very good interview with Paulie Malignaggi here on Talksport. He's basically given his 2 cents on the Canelo Alvarez-Sergey Kovalev fight, in which he's actually saying that he feels that this fight spits in the face of boxing. Now, I'm going to get onto that in a second, why he feels that way, basically. And I'm also going to touch on something that he said about the WBC and their clean boxing program. And he's really gone in on it and said that basically it's not what you think it is, and it's not this kind of amazing thing that it's made out to be. Okay, now I'm gonna quote Paulie Malignaggi here now in a sec, but just for those who don't know, the WBC, in order to be ranked in the top 15 of the WBC, and in order for the WBC to sanction your bout, you have to sign up for the WBC clean boxing program, which is essentially your open to year-round VADA testing, and this testing is random, can happen at any time, any place, anywhere. It could be Christmas morning and a drug tester could rock up at your front door and you would obviously need to provide a drugs test. Obviously, you do a drugs test, okay? So that's what we're kind of led to believe, and a lot of people kind of do, give the WBC credit for the clean boxing program because it is helping to cut out the drug cheats. We've already seen Canelo Alvarez get popped for Clen. Obviously, I'm going to touch on this now in a sec as well. Obviously, that kind of went up in flames because he got a pass on that. But we also saw Povetkin get popped for meldonium when he was on the WBC clean boxing program, and Osterine. We've also seen Jarrell Miller. I know that wasn't WBC sanctioned, but it was VADA tested, get popped for God knows what, HGH amongst other things. So they're obviously catching these guys. But I'm going to call Paulie Malignaggi because he's actually not exactly sold or very keen on the WBC clean boxing program because he's partaking in it. I'm going to quote him here in his colourful kind of language. He says, "It's all bullshit. It's a title they give. It's a title they give to this program. And the fans are so stupid, they don't even look into it or do the research. Just because you're on the program doesn't mean that you're getting tested that often or even at all. I was on it for the final part of my career. In 7 months, I got tested one time. There's just not enough money for drug testing, but the powers that be have money. If all the organisations, all 4 sanctioned bodies for example, chip in, and all the major promoters in boxing chip in, there's going to be a lot of drug testing. But then there's going to be a lot of failures, which means it's going to be harder to make stars, right?" He says basically the biggest star in boxing today is the Mexican middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez. The 29-year-old tested positive for clenbuterol last year, but only received a 6-month ban from the Nevada State Athletic Commission. As stated, it was contaminated meat for the reason behind the drug being in the system. Okay, so yeah, that's what Paulie Malignaggi has to say about the clean boxing program, saying that he was on it he was tested once in 7 months. So we'll assume he was on it for 7 months. He was tested once. That is definitely not enough time. Definitely not to be getting drug tested. I would have thought it'd be a bit more thorough than that, because I would imagine that's plenty of time to cycle off whatever you're on if it's essentially being tested once in 7 months, or if you're even on anything. So then he's gone on to say he's not too happy that somebody like Billy Joe Saunders can fail a VADA test before he fights in the US over a nasal spray, as they say, and basically get told, okay, you're not fighting Demetrius Andre, you're getting stripped of your title. I think Billy Joe vacated it though, so I don't think he was stripped, but essentially that, whereas Canelo gets a slap on the wrist. Okay, and he's gone on to say this: "I don't care what testing it has," and that's how it's written, so I don't know what he means is, "I don't want to talk about the fight. You're basically spitting in the face of the sport." Okay, he's on about Canelo and Kovalev. After Canelo failed the drugs test, he got a slap on the wrist. I kind of started to side with all the fighters that are using PEDs now. Billy Joe Saunders failed the drugs test not long after that for oxyfrine for his fight with Demetrius Andre, was cancelled as a result. I said, what do you want me to tell you? Look at the guys he's chasing. And that is pretty much it. So they've not really gone on and given me much else to go on with that interview. But essentially, what Paulie Malignaggi said, and I think he said it before, that he feels that at this stage, all the top guys are on juice or on performance-enhancing drugs. And to be honest with you, I'm inclined to agree with Paulie Malignaggi. I would be very surprised if the majority of top athletes in the sport of boxing are not on some kind of performance-enhancing drug. Okay, seriously, I would be very, very surprised. I would say, if I had to take a guess, I'd even say someone like a Deontay Wilder, who was a staunch advocate for clean boxing. You know, if he got popped tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised. His little brother's already got popped, okay, and we don't hear Wilder say anything about that. So in terms of the sport, I don't know what really there can be done, because yes, VADA testing is expensive. It's only if the four sanctioning bodies made it mandatory, maybe different story, because I don't think the WBC VADA testing is not cheap. So if the WBC are paying for that, I'm sure the WBC aren't going to want to be forking out more money than they need to, put it like that. And they're certainly not going to be forking out on their cash cows. It'd probably be the kind of guys who maybe they are suspicious about. Somebody like a Jarrell Miller or someone like that, if they were to enter the clean boxing program. I don't really know. Someone like a Povetkin, because I believe he's back ranked by the WBC. So, you know, it's things like that. And again, what Malignaggi says about this fight spitting in the face of the sport of boxing, I don't think it is personally. I think Kovalev versus Alvarez is a good fight. I think it's an intriguing fight. As I said, I think that Canelo will win, but I'm still intrigued to see how the fight goes. So I don't necessarily think that it's spitting in fans' faces necessarily, but I definitely do think that, you know, at this stage now in boxing, yes, most guys, I would assume, are on PEDs, and I agree with him what he says there. How do you make a star if you take the PEDs away? Because sooner or later one of them will probably lose to someone they're not supposed to, and then, you know, how do you create a star? Again, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but I do think that people take the O way too serious these days. They make it out like as if you lose a fight, you're garbage, despite the fact loads of great fighters have lost. Some of the greatest fighters of all time, like Sugar Ray Robinson, have lost. So, you know, I think that the O is exaggerated a lot these days in boxing. But that's kind of what Paulie Malignaggi had to say. Of course, never one to, you know, shy away from giving his thoughts on things. And that's his thoughts on the Canelo Alvarez-Kovalev fight and the use of PEDs in boxing. Yes, as I said, I do think PED use is rampant at all levels, really, I believe. You know, I mean, we've seen it at area level in the UK, people using PEDs, like, what was it, Larry Onabamimo, was that the guy's name, the heavyweight? He was juiced up to the tit. So, it's rampant, but I think it's getting better. I do think more guys are getting caught, and they need to. Because if more guys get caught, it makes other people not want to do it. That's what I'm hoping anyway. If they see other guys getting caught, it might make them think twice. So that's kind of the way I have been looking at it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to leave it here. By the way, before I go, if the quality on this video isn't as good as normal, it's because I'm using a different mic for this one. I normally use my iPad to record these videos, but that's dead. Well, it died, and I have it on charge. Obviously, the port on the iPad is a normal port, which I use my Boyot, I think it's how you pronounce it, BOYA microphone. I use that for my iPad. I have a spare one of these for my iPhone, but it's an 8, and that's a USB port only. And I know from using this Boyot, it's a Boyot BDM1. I got it on Amazon for 25 quid. It's a great yoke. It's a great mic. I know from having used this before in certain videos, I don't use it too much, that the quality doesn't appear to be as good on it. So if the quality isn't as good on this video, apologies. But I'll be back to using my original one tomorrow, hopefully, when I get recording again. So hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think PED use is rampant in the sport of boxing? And what can be done? What do you think? People, listen to this video. What do you think can actually be done to stamp out PED use in the sport of boxing? I'd be interested to hear what you have to say on it. Do you even care anymore? Do you think, well, if they're all on PEDs, it's an even playing field? I hope not, but let me know what you think down below. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, I will talk to you after.